Hello and welcome to CIO News. I'm Khushbu, Soni, your host for the broadcast. On our series of Envisaging a Digital Future, an exclusive fireside chat powered by Crayon software experts with our digital innovators of India. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, which is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. A quick brief on our presenting partner. Crayon helps customers build the commercial and technical foundation for successful and secure digital transformation journey. Crayon provides guidance to the best solutions to organizations for their business needs and budget to thrive and innovate with software, cloud, AI, and big data. Let me dive in introducing our second guest for this series, Mr. Neehar Pathare, the Vice President ICT and Chief Information Security Officer at 63 Moons Technologies Limited. Neehar is a business and technology visionary leader with about 24 years of rich experience in IT infrastructure setup, management, strategy planning, and project management. Neehar is an adroit in driving projects, conducting business analysis to determine requirements, suggesting innovative solutions, and facilitating system implementation at the enterprise scale. Neehar has been successful in maintaining focus on achieving bottom-line results while formulating and implementing advanced technology-based business solutions. Welcome, Neehar, again.
Thanks a lot, Khushbu. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Along with me today is Vikas, the Chief Executive Officer at Crayon Software Experts and also our moderator for the interview. Vikas has 20 years of progressive business experience with an expertise in sales, marketing, strategy, operations management in the field of IT. Vikas has a strong track record of building teams capable of stepping up, leading to personal advancement and career development. He is known for his ability to build a value-driven organization while delivering on the business forecast. Welcome, Vikas.
Hey, thank you, Khushbu, and pleasure, Neehar, to now meet on e-platform. It's a sign of things that and times that we are living in.
Yeah, that's true.
Always, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Always.
Yes. I know that you are in the US. Man on wheels is what I call you. But let's start. The question that I can't resist asking, and perhaps in this many years that I've met you, I've never asked you this question. But when you really think of this name, 63 Moons, right? What hits me is, that this name signifies innovation. It's something very unique, something out of the box. I just wanted to start this discussion asking you, is there an origin to this? Is there a reason why you have a name like 63 Moons?
Yes. Now, this is one question that we get to hear a lot from the time we had a name change. And this name is derived from the planet Jupiter, the largest in our solar system, which has 63 moons. And these moons revolve around the planet in a perfect sync. So keeping the customer in the center, we provide a perfect digital ecosystem, which perfectly syncs to our customer needs. This comes from developing and customized experiences for our customers.
Wonderful. And it sometimes seems to me that why have I not asked you this question before, but better late than never. One of the things that you spoke of, keeping the customer at a core and providing him a 360-degree solution by developing solutions. And I caught on to the word developing because in my years of experience of having touch base with you, the one thing that stands out for me, of the many things that stand out and which we'll speak about during the course of this interview, one thing that stands out is your development team. Because the N number of solutions that have come and tried to sell to you, you have said, I developed this in-house. Remember, there was a time when I was trying to white label a solution that you have built globally for Crayon.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm very intrigued to know about what this development team is all about. I know it aligns to what you do as a business, but what is the skill set of this team? What technologies they are working on? What's their scope? And how do they fit into the larger scheme of things for you?
Great. So development team at our place works on mission critical platforms like brokerage systems and exchange technology solutions. So brokerage and trading platforms and cloud-based mobile trading platforms. So all of these are very low latency online transaction processing platforms, which have approximately 70% of market share in the Indian capital markets. And some of the core technologies we use are VC++, MS SQL, along with Redis, Node.js, Iconic, Kafka, etc. So all this brings down to robotic process automation, which in build gets a simplified user experience, cloud native application stack that is instantly scalable and highly available. So we also have microservices architecture and continuous delivery and DevOps that can increase our agility in continually improving on the user experience through enhancement and new feature functions, which are released constantly due to our end user expectations. So you understand 70% is a very large market share, and it's a very demanding market share when it comes to brokerage. So development is our core activity as we test and adopt new technologies. From external customers to our internal customers, we strive to provide low latency solutions in the quickest possible turnaround times.
Yeah, how big would this team be, Neehar? And I asked you this question because if you really look at what 63 Moons does, right, it's in the business of providing high-tech solutions platforms.
Correct.
For companies across different segments, from space to agriculture,
right,
to education, right? It's almost like incubating startups.
Yes.
You do by helping them adopt technologies like robotics and IoT, which you spoke about, and helping them from incubation to going to market, which includes creation of IP. That's a humongous lot that you deliver, right? If you really look at how technology is evolving and it is so fast, to be abreast of everything and do this across different verticals and segments, how do you do it?
Oh, it's a very tough job if you have to see, because when we got into from financials to also the startup ecosystem, so new projects and startups, they come with their new set of challenges. They come with new technologies, emerging technologies. So you need to be on your toes when it comes to emerging technologies, and most of them is also open source now. It's a big shift from the legacy development tools due to licensing cost to the new open source tools because of the cost and features that they have. Something like working on an Apple development or an Android development. So you have a lot more features, a lot more flexibility that comes in. So shifting from centralized to distributed and flexible operating environments, the boundaries between living, working, and learning environments have blurred in the new normal that we say.
Absolutely.
We address this operational complexity of managing remote and physical teams. So which was earlier only on-prem, we have a large team, which is our core development team.
Yeah. So I'll come to that question of ensuring continuity with a hybrid workforce. But I was trying to double click on the humongous needs that it puts on you on having skill sets that are across segments, across technologies. In your role as your VP IT, this would mean a lot for you, right? So how do you manage to do that, Neehar? You know, so many segments.
As I said, you have to be on your toes. You have to be constantly learning. You have to spend a lot of time, your personal time, also learning on developing technology. When a new engineer, a college graduate, or a startup comes to you, a newer person, they talk of new technology. You can't be blank about it. So a lot of my time goes on certifications, upgrading my skills, and also keeping abreast of what is going on around the market. At the same time, security plays a big role, because every of these new developers, the new Gen X which comes in, they have their thought processes and they come saying that we would like to do this. At the same time, we have to evaluate how secure is this. Can we put this on a scale which is going to go at 70% large capital share?
Yeah. I was wanting to touch on the security aspect of all of these at a later point in time, but now since we brought it up, one is, of course, the ecosystem that you work with. They are all startups. They are all, kids who have a lot of great ideas. And for the world is boundaryless, right? Everything is their domain, and they can reach out to anybody in any kind of shape with any device, with any technology.
Absolutely.
The mentality that they come with. And then there is, of course, an internal workforce, which is hybrid, and they can work from anywhere. So in this kind of an environment, both internal and external that you work in, how are you making sure your assets are secured, your endpoint protection is there, How are you managing that from a security standpoint is something that I would like to ask you.
Well, because this is a very broad question. Yeah,
Yes,
we
it
can
is.
talk on each of these areas for us. But to give you a bird's eye view, we'll let you know how we evolved in this pandemic. We saw once we shifted to work from home on remote access technologies, the weakest link was the passwords that we needed to access your network. With
Yes.
today's social engineering skill, it's not very difficult to get a user's password. We needed additional layer of security. Just an example, we could see the new hackers which come in, they actually look at your LinkedIn profile, see who the system admin is or who the IT staff is for a company. They have a look and know the names, where they are from, what are they, and then they randomly call your users. The phone numbers are very easily accessible, and they say you're calling from the 63 Moons IT support. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have a new complex password policy that we have implemented. Can you tell me your password? So we check if it is complex or not. And this is Amit. So you know Amit for a long time, not over the phone, but personally. And these are some common names which come up, and that's how you. It's very there are different levels how you can break down a user. So we thought that this password is one of the most weakest link when you going to access such a. You have everything in the centralized, secured firewalls, everything, but this home computer coming in with just a password becomes the weakest link. So we have seen extensive use of fingerprint and face recognition technologies in mobiles, but for enterprises, it's still the password with maximum two-factor authentication like OTP or authenticator app.
Yes.
We needed to go beyond that. So we deployed a passwordless solution where a user is truly authenticated by his biometrics and passwords. Remembering a password becomes a farce. So it's important to understand how do you react to a security incident. This is another point. One is you get access passwordless, you forget your passwords, authentication happens, and then how do you react in case there's a security breach? Many of the my colleagues or CIOs or many companies, they do a lot of things on the access point, but not much is done on your breach point. What happens? What is your reaction?
Yeah.
So it is very important to understand how do you react to a security incident and how much time it takes to mitigate the situation. It's proven that usually it takes an IT team around 60 minutes to understand there was an attack, and then it comes informing the stakeholders with probably the resolution time and action. With today's lean security teams that we all know doing their daily task, it's difficult to constantly monitoring their networks. So we had to move towards autonomous security.
Mm.
So the next phase in our journey was towards autonomous security and autonomous response decision making. So the application for artificial intelligence to a cyber defense challenge had marked a fundamentally shift in our ability to protect critical data systems that we have and
Mm.
our digital infrastructures. So our already trained security teams, it offers possibility to keep pace with an ever evolving threat landscape powered by unsupervised machine learning is what we look at. We deployed a new EDR, the next gen EDR, which actually monitors each user behavior and then classifies if there's an anomaly in a behavior to understand if this user would do that. It takes 3 to 4 months and then it learns. And the reaction time is what you put into templates. If this happens, this knocks up, and then you get an alert. So this is where we are moving into.
Yeah, and that particular aspect brings me a very interesting question, right? So whilst this is based on a machine learning algorithm,
Correct.
COVID hit and everybody suddenly started working from wherever they could, hybrid workforce, right? Mostly remote. There was, of course, you perhaps did not have the time for the machine algorithm to kick in because you needed to get something going at that point in time, which was secure and which also ensured continuity of services. So was this password, going beyond the password level of security, something that worked for you, or were there other technologies that you could, quickly get together and amalgamate that into a solution that ensured the continuity of services for you and resilience?
Yeah. As we all know, we got only 48 hours. Everyone got 48 hours notice to go work from home
Yes.
live. Yeah. And then everyone was scrambling. We were like, we had remote access solutions for maybe travelers or top management, but not at this scale of around 1,200, 1,300 users. And once we did that, we were evolving, we were learning, we were evolving. We had groups, we had CIO club where we were sharing information, and we saw what technologies were happening, we were sharing. So passwordless was the first one that we developed. Over the time, we understood that our support timings for users have changed completely. Earlier, it was your generic hours, and now it has become some users log in at 4:35 in the morning, like me, and some are late guys who are there till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the night. So they demand support. The manager needs to know if they are live, they are online. Yeah. So earlier during office hours, 9 to 6, a manager could call up. But why call him? He has his different work hours. So what we developed, which I was glad to show you, is in the first month itself, we developed something called as the ICT app. Yeah. So we
Wow.
developed this for all users. We innovated, and this app not only shows how many hours you have logged in, the manager sees his team, a person who is currently logged in, what time he did log in, and when did he end. So if he wants to call someone at 9 in the evening and he's up, he sees if he's up, it's easier to call him saying that he's working, or early morning. And this also gave a bigger issue for us is this backup support windows that we had, the server updation windows, because people were working extensively now. Yeah, because of remote access, our window shortened in the night, that we had to
Yes.
do upgradation. So we had to put on some policies that we would be doing some. Earlier, this was on the fly. Users never knew. Yeah, this was happening. But now those things have come in. And resilience point of view, we say it's constantly adopting of what comes next. Every day you get some call and you think, oh, this is something new, or this is something that we had not thought about. Maybe it was something 0.1%, but now it starts expanding to a larger horizon.
Yeah. So quite interesting. And I would assume it would be a developer team that produced the ICT app. Is that still under?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So we have one code, a lot of core development teams for the external brokering and markets, external markets. But we also have a development team for the internal IT. Yeah. So we have a
Yes.
lot of tools like one which you had seen, and we keep growing on these tools to make and automate our life easier, making it easier for the administrators to monitor and have everything on fingertips.
Yeah. So, the ICT app is just an indication of changing times, Neha, right? We are all getting into a digital world, so to say, right? Digital infrastructure, digital workplaces. You are in the business of creating digital marketplaces for so many of your own customers. It's very interesting for us to know what's your vision of a digitally transformed organization. What are the tenets of such an organization? What's the scope? What's the characteristic? And what technologies do you think really make an organization a digitally transformed organization?
So to come to that, I would say that it all started with your IT modernization years back, yeah, which involved the
Yes.
process of shifting from previous hardware, software solutions, consolidating your enterprise workflow, systems and preference, and more innovative and automated solutions. However, digital modernization is largely undertaken by us to make the operation and infrastructure of the organization itself better off in the long run. It has been a value lever in private sectors for years, in large part because of clear objectives which were driven by top-down mandates. Yeah, successful business operators would then we would reduce the cost of such projects by making it leaner and nimbler for them to operate. And this streamlined infrastructure makes that project viable or gives you that increased margin for you to operate your business. And this is, I find, is digital transformation for your in-house teams or when they go to market.
Yes. So, you, if I could interpret that, make it more nimbler, more agile, more automated,
Yes.
and you kind of break this down so that different business segments can use it. But silos is, of course, one of the problems you have when you are trying to build in a larger digital solution. But I do understand your point on automation. That brings me to the other interesting aspect about digital transformation, which is the cloud.
Yes.
And, often many times people talk about digital transformation, they talk about automation and cloud hand in hand, or let me say automation, cloud and AI hand in hand. Right. So what's your view on your adoption of the cloud? Are you 100% cloud organization? And what are the factors you are considering when you?
So for us, everything is driven by business. Yeah. If business needs and we see value in getting it more faster, or what you say is time to market is important, then there are other factors that you should also understand, such as net promoter score, cost of service for product launch, return of investment, percentage of service delivery agility, percentage of automation that you do, then the average resolution rate that you have, test coverage, and many more indicators. So cloud computing is where it is today mainly because of the resources that it supports. Yeah, we have more bandwidth, new ways to connect, greater amounts of infrastructure convergence. As the integration of storage, networking, and computing capabilities have increased, so have the delivery methods of cloud computing, which was not there on your on-prem solution.
Yeah.
And in all this, we say virtualization has become a mainstay approach for every business trying to be flexible and efficient. So cloud computing is of course, the next natural step, but how you do it on-prem, hybrid, or fully on cloud depends on your situation. It does bring relief from constraints of your complex infrastructure support and offers previously unattainable levels of efficiency, which is there to stay. But the cloud journey has its own perils and complications, some of them new and some retained from physical world. Yeah. So hybrid
Yes.
clouds are here to stay. Hence, our plan for future is to have a secure cloud journey without compromising on protection levels.
That's true, and I'll come to that complexity of the cloud a little later. But one of the things that I picked on when I was doing some reading through some material, as you touch consumers, Neehar, and you spoke about the customer experience becomes extremely important, right?
Right.
And as you are trying to shift the focus to the end customer and the experience you're delivering there, often many times edge becomes as important as the cloud. Right. And there is a larger focus in industries where end customer experience and all of those things are important, that people are saying even what I deliver at the edge becomes important. Is there a major consideration for you as well?
Yes, it is. It is. That is where is the proof of your pudding, right? The edge. Yeah. Whatever you do internally doesn't matter as long as your edge is where you deliver. And this is where we think how for a project we need to measure your ROIs and how to keep it optimized is where we are looking at.
Yes. Yes, and that's a beautiful segue that you have provided me. And we spoke about the complexities of the cloud, right? It could be a cost complexity. It's about the skill set of the cloud and what workloads are best suitable to work on the cloud. So cloud is not as easy as it seems on the face of it, right? And as you significantly ramp up your infrastructure, you will, of course, see a significant amount of investment going into the. So how are you measuring the ROI on your cloud investments, Neehar? Because optimization today is a very, very large part of a technology leader's priorities. And how are you measuring the ROI? How are you managing to keep your infrastructure optimized, given the complexity of the cloud providers itself in the marketplace today?
Yeah, so before you move to cloud and the complexity, so there's no given template that you can copy paste and live. Every company's journey to the cloud is a customized journey. And you need to understand the business, what is going to derive, the technologies, the uptimes, the billing, the on and off of the cloud, and you need a complete control on that. So for us to be able to measure anything, we need tight control on it or at least monitoring of it. So we evolved and we deployed an internal IT license portal, which gave us a real-time look on our software deployment and cost apportioned to each department. This gives us the power to closely monitor the deployment and usage of all these softwares.
Wonderful.
The costs are dynamic as team sizes for new projects happen on the fly. You have sometimes a member working on Adobe Suite here and suddenly shifts to another technology, another group. So this apportioning of cost of the software and the person has to be dynamic as he moves or number of hours he spends on that. So we were able to give cost on software for a project on real-time basis. This helps you a lot to measure it. And for adopting cloud, it supports rapid innovation and experimenting by enabling us to test quickly and adopt new solutions without incurring a large upfront cost, which is very important. So it leverages data and analytics for real-time visibility and insights-driven decisions, which is the need of the hour. And we realize the importance of having a unifying real-time data visibility that can inform their overall data strategy. So the overall data strategy of your businesses will be successful when you give them real-time data visibility. You cannot have reports coming end of the week or end of the day. There should be dashboards that you click and you say, okay, this person moved over, this software was implemented, this is the ROI that you get. So these are the few factors that help us measure and optimize cost.
Right, that's simply superb and wonderful. And I have seen firsthand some of the work that you have done there. Of course, that was more on the software. And I'm beginning to see the fruits of that on the cloud spend as well, as far as 63 Moon is concerned. I am done with my conversation, and time has just flown speaking to you, Neehar.
It's always a pleasure.
And when I really look at what you're trying to do, you're really trying to bring to light and in reality our vision of a digital India and a startup India, right? And to that extent, my best wishes in this endeavor to you and your entire team. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Khushbu.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to seeing you again. Yeah.
Pleasure to get all right.